Hey everybody, welcome back to another Nature's Always Right episode. Steven here, and I am in my friends the Rambling Farmers off-grid bus, which they travel all throughout the United States to work on different farms. And today we're going to go over the details of their bus. It's a tiny home on wheels, and I just thought it would be really interesting for you guys to check it out. And be sure to also check out the interview video that I shot with them all about this very unique business that they've created, where they travel throughout the country and work for other farms. That's really fascinating. I know that you'll enjoy it.
Welcome to Magpie the Bus. This is our full-time off-grid tiny home that we completely DIY'd from the very beginning.
Yeah, so as you can see, this is our dog kennel. Our dogs live in there. They got a bed in there and they go in and out freely. And they also live on the couch.
That's awesome. So you have 3 dogs in here.
Yeah,
we have three dogs. And so yeah, I think we said before, this is about like 120, 130 square feet. We have a queen size bed, which is very nice, with an organic mattress.
Ooh,
and underneath
you even have
is
your logo.
our closet.
That's so fun.
Yeah. So we just keep all our clothes in there, keep it really minimalist. So underneath our bed, we have our little fridge that we put on caster wheels. And all of the electrical in here runs off of our off-grid solar system that Cheesy designed. He'll go over that shortly. But the fridge is actually our lowest draw. So it's a super energy efficient fridge filled with produce all the time, and yeah, we love it. Fits everything we need.
So that's running just off some deep cycle battery.
Yeah, so that fridge is 12 volts and it runs about 0.74 amp hours. Is it the energy usage? But it's not always running, so it's literally our lowest draw.
And then over here, we have the bathroom. It's not like the prettiest thing ever, but we use a composting toilet. Mm-hmm. And we need to build curtains in here, but it's just the airhead composting toilet. It's worked really well for us on the road. And yeah, just separates the liquids and solids. That's awesome. And then since we don't have a compost pile on a farm currently, we usually just throw away the peat mossy solids. And then yeah, this is just all pantry storage stuff. We usually load this up with winter squash in the wintertime. Our cast irons, all of our produce, all of our farm hats, Steadfast Farm, No-Till Growers,
That's
Earth
cool.
Care Farm.
You collect all the places that you
Yes, so if
fun.
you have a farm hat, we love those.
That's fun.
And then, do you want me to talk about the solar?
No.
No.
All right,
You
so
talk about the solar.
this is my expertise. So we are running off an off-grid solar system, so
The solar is like behind the trash
Oh
cans.
wow. Neat. Every little space is being used for something.
Exactly.
So as you can see, behind our trash and recycle bin, I have my solar cabinet. And so, it's a charge controller, different various switches. So we're running off of 600 watts of solar panels on top. And then we have, over here, we have 450 amp hours of battery storage. And so these are 6-volt golf cart AGM batteries, because we had to get AGMs because it's inside the cabin. We don't want any toxic off-gassing in our cabin. And so these are wired in series parallel, which makes it a 12-volt system. And then this is an inverter charger, so this allows us to convert the 12-volt energy into 120 volts, and so that we can run all of my saws, we can charge computers efficiently, pretty much anything that we've ever needed to run. We run our blender, we have a Vitamix that we run on it, and then what's cool, what's recent from last year, is that this little switch right here actually allows us to charge while we're driving. So it senses a voltage of 13 volts, and it can sense when it's charging. And so that will connect all of our batteries with the starting batteries, so that it can get charged from the alternator. And then also, if we're stuck in the woods, if we ever need to, we can automatically connect those batteries together and start our bus from these
And
batteries.
charges it just like that. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and so it'll also connect the batteries if we're receiving a lot of solar gain. Once these batteries are charged, it'll connect them and keep those ones topped off.
Wow.
So
That's
and
neat. What is that device called that connects to the alternator?
it's called an MLACR switch. It's made by Blue Sea.
Or a battery isolator.
You can get a battery isolator. There's various versions of this. I felt like this was the most appropriate for our system. It's more high tech. It's got an automatic magnetic switch on it.
That's
So
really
yeah,
neat.
but you can get cheaper versions of that for less
neat.
than $100. This is also just like, you know, if we ever
Trickle
get stuck,
charger?
trickle charger. And then this allows us to be able to plug into any 120 volts, 240 volts, whatever we need to. We can also plug in with this and charge our batteries.
Wow.
So we have 3 to 4
That's
different
neat.
ways of charging.
And it's kind of fun. There's even like a little circuit breaker, just like in a house.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it's all running on 20 amps.
Yeah, that's all our 120 volt,
120 volt.
switch fuses, and
Okay.
this is all of our 12
Wow.
volts fuses.
That's really neat.
So, and then these
Very
are just
cool.
standard solar fuses for the charge controller and for the rest of our circuits.
So we're
Wow.
totally resilient.
That is
Yeah.
so cool. I
Even
love that
even in the fog
Yeah.
of like the Pacific Northwest or just like a really cloudy
Uh-huh.
winter, we have all those backups.
And so something
That's so
else. So
cool.
this is our cook stove. It's not the cleanest thing in the world, but it's a little different from most like camp cook stoves because it actually runs off of denatured alcohol.
Whoa.
So this allows us to be able to, I can move this outside and cook, have it on the counter, whatever. It's not permanent in my counter, which is nice that we always have counter space. And then also we don't have any propane lines in here that could potentially explode,
Yeah.
combust. And
What's denatured alcohol, or how do you get that?
denatured alcohol is basically grain alcohol that they've added chemicals into to keep people from drinking it.
Like
and-
Prohibition days.
Yeah, exactly. And so
It's a super clean burning fuel that they
Yeah.
sell it at Home Depot and everywhere except the state of California. So you can
Yeah,
get it in
yeah.
California.
Thanks, Scally.
Just like
You know, just like in a house, you've routed electrical, and then you've got, your standard.
Exactly. So we
Yeah.
have standard household plugs. We have 3 of these around the bus. We keep one that's by the door. So again, like you said, sometimes we'll do construction projects where we'll just like be running our saws and need to cut some wood to like build a shelf, and we'll be
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere, and we can do that.
That's
and that'll
crazy.
also be useful to build our farm because we won't need to have electricity on the farm to get started.
Wow. So how long can you run a saw for? Because this pull a lot of power.
Yeah, if it's sunny outside all day long.
Wow, that's amazing.
It just depends. I'm pretty sure the Vitamix actually uses more than a saw does, but I haven't measured it.
That's
Yeah.
pretty neat. That
Yeah.
You can run for that long.
Yeah, we just try to run our saws, on sunny days, like she said, if we're doing a lot of work like that. But, I mean, we haven't had any issues getting charged except, in the Pacific Northwest when it's raining consistently for months at a time.
Yeah.
It could be a little more difficult. You may have to plug in periodically, or some people keep a generator on board for those kinds of situations. But we don't have any type of generator on board. So we depend solely on charging from our alternator and from our solar.
Wow.
So
So then, standing right behind you here, what's
Yeah.
that pipe?
yeah. So this is our wood stove.
How cool is that? Wood stove in a bus that you live
Yeah.
in. I mean, that's
So we installed
I
this
love it.
at about a year after living in the bus. We had one of those Mr. Buddy little propane heaters, and that just was not doing it. You can go through those little propane tanks, so fast, and we don't have space and don't want to be carrying around a large propane tank with all the lines, possibility of explosions, things like that. And this type of heat is a lot better for what we're doing. It produces a dry heat versus a wet heat, so there's less condensation going on. It's actually helping to dry everything out in the bus. Because with us and 3 dogs in here, we do produce a lot of condensation.
right.
And so we put this in about a year after living in here. It was probably one of the most difficult things I installed, mostly because I tried to paint it black. I would not suggest doing that. It is a big pain in the ass, and then you have to off gas it outside before you can even install it. But this keeps us really toasty. Sometimes we have to open up windows and open up our vent to cool it off in here because we'll be so freaking hot.
That's
But
fun.
you do have to add wood to it often. So I actually modified this wood stove because I was worried about clearance issues. So what you see here is some spacers, and this is like an air wash. So it kind of makes it more able to get closer to things like this chair, and to have that clearance issue solved.
Just so you don't burn yourself or catch something on fire.
Yeah, so it's just an air wash to keep it so that you can be closer without it like catching it on fire. Exactly.
Okay.
Because over time, as we're heating things, you know, if it's too close to wood, that wood over time will get closer and closer to self-combustion, and over time it could potentially catch fire.
Melting your dash or something.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know,
But this is super safe because you went through the manufacturer recommendations of clearances. That's what you should say. Because people always think it's dangerous.
I followed all the rules. Right.
Yeah, so...
But it is safer than propane.
So people think that this...
I don't think it's not safe. I mean, if a fire broke out in here, you'd know pretty quick.
Yeah.
And you probably have an extinguisher somewhere. So.
Yeah, we do actually have a fire extinguisher right here. And so, and this is our water tank. It's
whoa, look at that.
It's about a 15-gallon fusti tank. They use it for winemaking. It's got this little hoodad down here.
How does it pressurize?
So it's gravity fed.
Okay.
So you fill the water from the outside.
Oh, this is the pump.
Yeah, and that's the pump that it's connected to. Exactly. You can push on it and then watch the water come out.
Whoa, that's so cool.
So that allows us to be hands-free and to minimize the amount of water that we use.
Yeah.
Because we got to conserve as much as we can. We do have a couple of 6-gallon jugs in the back for backup that we keep. So we keep a total of 25 gallons of fresh water on our bus at a time.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
Cool. Well, you can fill up here.
Thanks. Perfect. Yeah, good old well water.
That's right.
So about that, I wanted to talk about that actually is because we are very concerned about what we put in our bodies, being, you know, the organic crazy farmers that we are. And so we do not fill up, you know, with chlorinated water. We don't do that. We use a website called findaspring.com. And that place has just been awesome. It takes us on these really cool adventures out into the woods and all these different places. Sometimes in the middle of cities, they have springs coming out that are fresh and clean. Like we just filled up in Knoxville most recently. Beautiful spring there. And so that's how we get most of our waters is just findaspring.com. They have, it's a crowd-funded site. A crowdsourced site, so there's springs all over the world on the site, and then you can also find hot springs on there as well.
Yeah, and along the lines of water, so we're very, I guess for lack of a better word, we're cheap asses, because we want to keep this lifestyle going as long as possible, and we do work really hard and we get paid well for what we do, but we also like to keep our overhead low so that we can save for land one day. So pretty much everything we do in terms of like getting spring water, where we park and camp, getting produce, things like that, we try to do that completely for free most of the time. Sometimes we'll work trade farmers for produce, and then of course we're just working on so many farms, we always have access to vegetables. But yeah, with the water, we never pay for water and we never pay for anywhere to camp. So we have a lot of cool resources about that on our website, but basically we park our bus on public lands. Most of the time, National Forest land predominantly, sometimes BLM land, Bureau of Land Management when we're in the Southwest. And if we're in a city, we just kind of lay low in industrial areas, park off the road. We usually don't have any problems because, yeah, we're low-key, even though we're a big yellow bus. Yeah. And then when we're really lucky, we get to visit really cool farmer friends and park on their properties. So. Yeah.
This is a 2008 Chevy Bluebird. It's on a Chevy Express 3500 chassis. When we bought the bus, it had about 120,000 miles on it. Was in pristine condition. We were sure to hire a mechanic to look at all the mechanical components of the bus before we bought it to make sure it was sound, because we spent a lot of money up front on this bus because we wanted something that we weren't going to have to be working on and dumping money into later when we just want to travel and ramble and have fun. So it cost us about $15,000 for the bus, and then about another $10,000 to convert everything, and that could maybe up or down. We haven't actually done the full calculation, but somewhere around in that area. And I mean, we're always constantly adding to it and changing things. Another thing that we've recently added to is this freezer.
Oh, nice.
So that ice isn't frozen yet. I just put that in there. But I feed our dogs a raw diet, which sounds really crazy, especially living in a school bus on the road. And it is crazy and it's difficult, but we just really care about their health. We've had one dog who's had some health issues, so we did that for her mostly.
And that's on solar too.
And that is running off the solar too.
That's
you know?
crazy. That's so cool.
So we're adding things like that, you know. So it's constantly changing the amount that we've spent on the conversion. But you can spend, you know, as little as you want to however much you want on a conversion. I mean, there's people who've done conversions for $5,000. So there's people who've bought a van and done the whole conversion for $10,000. So you don't have to spend as much as we do. You can do it however you want. So yeah, and then we also have all our instruments on board too, which we keep. So this actually slides out, and things fall. We're not prepared. And this way I can access my guitar.
Oh no, under there.
My banjo. These are my pipettes for my soil microscopy, mandolin. So we have storage under the couch as well. But
Super cool.
we're gonna revamp this area while we're in Florida.
Yeah.
So every single space is being used for something.
Exactly. Yeah, so about how much we spent on our conversion, actually 2021 is the year we've technically broke even if you think of people paying about $1,000 a month for rent. So the bus has like paid for itself in terms of the amount of rent. But of course the bus does a lot more for us than like an apartment would. So I don't really equate those monetary numbers necessarily to the amount of benefits we get. But it is pretty cool to be 24 years old and 30 years old, and we own our own home outright.
Yeah, debt-free.
Yeah, debt-free. We own our own house. We did finance the bus for like a 2-year really brief loan, and quickly paid it off with all our farm work. And so that gives us a peace of mind going into, of course, buying land or starting a farm. That's really hard to do with a lot of debt. So we're really grateful to not have any of those financial issues so that we can get kind of a clean slate when we get started on our farm. Yeah, so this is our bookshelf. Obviously, we love to read. We have tons of farm books, and I'm always getting new books. Cheesy gets mad at me because I have so many books. I have a hard time getting rid of them. If there's anything worth hoarding, it's books, but I have very little other things. So anyways, got our whole Windleberry collection and all our herbalism and foraging books. We do a lot of wild crafting, plant nerd type stuff. So
Very cool. All the essential skills that you'll need on the road and farming and
our hidden little cabinet here just lifts up, and then we have a first aid kit and some dog poop bags.
Wait, read the chalkboard.
Oh yeah, and
Oh,
nature's
wow.
always right.
That's
Did
so
y'all
fun.
hear about this person? Yeah, they're the person making the video.